Welcome to my channel. Well, I have my transition bottle rocket here in the manual trainer for a reason, and I also have this box sitting on the ground. I want to talk a little bit about bike sizing because I've done multiple videos on this topic about how I feel like bikes are getting too long, too slack, or whatever. There we go. Pops it over. I kind of want to talk about like why it is really important to have the right size bike for, your torso, your inseam, your basically your height. And you can't just purely go off of height, because you may have a longer torso than somebody else, or longer legs and a shorter torso and things like that, and that's all going to play a role in how much reach you should have, how long your bike should be. But one of the reasons why I have this box here is because I want to show this example of lifting something off the floor, right? If you've ever worked a job or done any lifting around people that know what they're doing, right? They're going to tell you not to lift with your lower back, right? Which would be, all of these muscles back here. So if you decide that you're going to lift this box and you just keep your knees straight and you hinge forward and you lift it, you're going to put lots of strain on your lower back. If you bring the box closer to you, you're going to have less of that. But ideally what you're going to do is you're going to bend your knees and get down here and pull the box up, right? So when you do this, here's where those are the muscles you're using when you're lifting the box, right? So those same kind of rules apply to riding a bike, right? So if I get on my bike, of course this is sized how I want it to be sized, right? And also I'm wearing slippers. Kind of cracks me up when I do that. Believe it or not, these slippers grip these pedals really good, although my feet won't stay in the slippers. So this is kind of what I'm talking about. I am centered on the bike. I'm mostly upright, right? I'm in this position right here. I'm not way forward on the bike. If I want to get into the low crouch, which we talk about all the time, I bring my hips back, I bend my knees, and I hinge forward, and I bend my elbows. Now I am in the low crouch, right? This is the really aggressive position you want to be in if you're going to attack something, right? Especially steep descents and things like that. If I'm going to go off a jump, I'm going to push through my legs. Look familiar? Push through my legs and pull with my arms as I go up off the jump, off the lip. And I recently did a video on how to come off the lip of a jump. I'll put that right up in the corner up there. So if your bike is super long, now you're way out here, right? And suddenly all of that is way more strain on your lower back. It requires more strength. And yes, you can go lift a bunch of weights and get really strong so you can ride a bike that doesn't fit you properly if that's what you choose to do. But it's better for your body to have a bike that is sized for you properly and fits you properly. And if you learn the proper riding techniques and you need to do a steep descent, you don't do this, which a lot of people think you're supposed to do if you're going to do a steep descent. What you do is you get into that low crouch right? And then you let the bike rotate underneath you, right? So it'll appear when the bike rotates forward that you're back here, but it's really that you're allowing it to pitch forward and allowing it to pitch back, things like that. So if we come back to the box, right? If your bike's too long for you, it's like doing this, right? If your bike's sized right for you, it's like doing this. So that's really all I wanted, by the way. Yeah, I'm not dumb. I didn't put any weight in there. But if you really think about body mechanics, physics, leverage, all of that, you'll start to realize how important it is that your bike fits you properly, especially if you're doing more aggressive riding, right? And I will talk about downhill for a minute. Downhill, like aggressive, high speed, hardline style downhill, right, is very different than most of the riding most of us are doing. Even if we're jumping and doing technical trails and things. I even think about Whistler, like riding some of these kind of more technical sections and stuff, or other downhill things. You don't need the super extreme bike like they have. The bikes that they have are designed for much higher speeds, right? And so they have a longer front center, longer chain stays, things like that, a longer reach, right? And you're finding more and more downhillers are starting to put longer rise bars on their bikes. Why? Because they're realizing they're way too low and forward, right? So a higher rise bar will get you up where you need to be. So those guys, they're doing 35, 40 miles per hour plus, and the jumps they're doing are big, long floater style jumps. So all they really need to do is hang on for the ride. Sure, I'm sure they do a little bit of preload, a little bit of standing up off of the jump, things like that, right? But what's carrying them through those jumps is speed and, of course, courage, because you need a lot of courage to hit the jumps they're hitting, right? Very different than a slower speed style jump that has more of a transition and things like that, where you actually have to get down and really stand up hard off the jump and pull up the front end and pop off correctly, right? So you don't want this big, long beast of a bike if that's the kind of stuff you're riding, right? So really think about, what kind of riding are you doing? And the large majority of us are doing not the high speed crazy downhill that you see in the Red Bull world. And think about, how is your body built? How long is your torso? How long are your legs? How much hinged are you on your bike? Things like that. XC racers, they have this idea that it's all about aerodynamics. I don't necessarily agree so much with their philosophy, but they're longer stem, lower bar, short wheelbase, really kind of in this opposite extreme, right? And then you get into trail bikes, enduro bikes, and then free ride bikes like this or whatever, and you want something that's easier to maneuver, easier to pop up the front end, easier to move around, easier to get through stuff and things like that. So that's really it in a nutshell. So really think about it. I ride 420, 425 reach. I'm 5'7", 30-inch inseam, because I know you're going to ask, and I always forget to tell you that on the video. And there'll be people that still ask it because they don't watch the whole video, right? But as you get taller, you might want 435, 440 reach, right? If you're kind of in that, you know, 5'9", 5'10", right? Then you start getting up to 5'11", 6 foot, whatever. Then you're getting into the 465, 470 reach, right? And then once you're up into the, you know, 6+ foot range, you're pushing, you know, 480, maybe even 500, right? Like that seems to be kind of the where most people should be at. But you look at some of the size charts in these bikes, and they're recommending that somebody that's my height ride a 450, 460 millimeter reach, and that's just absolutely wrong. It's just not even close to accurate. You know who gets it right, believe it or not, is Canyon. When I do the Canyon size chart, the longest reach they've put me on is 435, right? And I generally like, you know, 420 to 425. I can get away with 430, 435. But for me, like a 435 reach would be what I would want maybe on a downhill bike, right? For my height. So there you have it. More on sizing. Let me know what you think in the comments. I appreciate your support for my channel. Please like and subscribe. Peace.